So the next part is we want to get the liquid out of this keg and into these bottles. And this is the same process that we would use pretty much if we were going to dispense it on a draft line. All of the principles are the same. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that I've let all the air out of this head space, because I want carbonated ginger beer or cocktail or water or whatever, and regular atmospheric pressure up here. And the reason for that is if this was super high pressure and I hooked up any type of hose to this, it's going to shoot out like a cannon. So I'm just letting out the pressure in that headspace, and to prove it is at atmospheric pressure. So now we've got our beverage in here that we carbonated previously, and then no pressure up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this up, back up to the inline. However, I can't do that at 40 psi because, again, it's going to be like a fire hose. So I need to get this down to around 0. And we do that by turning this knob to the left. But you'll see, if you can, that the pressure isn't really changing because the pressure inside this hose is still 40 psi. So there's a little knob in here that hits this, and it's part of the quick release thing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit that knob with my finger. And if you can't use your finger, just grab a tool and gently press on this knob and get the pressure down a little bit. Now I've gotten it down to, let's see, around 15, hard to see, 10. I'm just going to turn it all the way down to 0 and then hook it back up. So now we've got just about 0 psi pushing this thing. This is our bottling wand. It's the Blichmann Beer Gun, Blichmann Beer Gun. There are all sorts of different types of beer guns out there. Basically what this does, well, not basically, exactly what this does, is it just fills our bottles from the bottom up rather than pouring from the top down. When we fill from the bottom up, we lose less carbonation. So I'm going to hook this up to the out. And I've got this set at 0 psi. And I'm just going to pull the trigger on this bottling gun. It's going to take a second. I'm going to use the natural pressure of the ginger beer to kind of push itself out. And it's not really coming out super quickly. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn this up. Barely at all. Just going to keep turning it up until I get some flow. And I don't know if you can see, but I can see this liquid flowing through this tube. I've still got the gun is engaged, and I'm just turning up the PSI. We're at about 1 or 2 now. Hard to see. And now it's starting to come out. And it takes a second to get it at first. You're kind of playing a game of like, is it too much pressure, not enough pressure? And it seems like maybe it's not necessarily worth it to use one of these. But once you really get going, and especially if you have like a case of these bottles to fill, it's so much faster. So I'm just turning up the pressure. And subsequent bottles will not take this long to fill, I promise. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just slowly filling this bottle with carbonated ginger beer. And once I get to about here, pull out the wand, and that displacement leaves us with just the perfect amount of ginger beer. I might get a little spillover, that's okay. And you'll see now this one's going a lot better. It's bubbling up inside there a little bit. These first few get kind of jumpy. We've shaken this liquid, so it's like a soda that's been shaken. It's a little aggro. Best thing to do is let it sit cold for 10-15 minutes. If you're doing ginger beer, you don't want to let it sit too long because it will separate and settle. You certainly don't want to have some of these bottles be less or more watered down than others. And I'm just pulling it out and filling bottle after bottle after bottle. And that's it. That's how you use this gun. You just remember to cap these bottles as soon as you can. I usually do like 6 at a time, and then take my capper and cap all the bottles. Maybe I'll do another video where I show you how to use a capper, but it's pretty easy. And that's it. Thanks.